Good evening, everyone. It's Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Today, we're going to be getting back to our series on health. We did a whole series on lung congestion, and our CytoSolve team has come up with an addition for 5 more herbs and ingredients that support lung congestion. And today, we're going to be talking about ginger on lung congestion. And this is a part of our CytoSolve Molecular Systems Biology series. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I want to welcome everyone. Because this is an important series that we really like to do, because a lot of you have repeatedly asked, hey, Dr. Shiva, keep doing more solutions-based things so you can help us really understand, what's right for our body. So that's what we're going to do. I just have to do one thing, everyone. There is a slight thing here that I have to do for Instagram, okay? Because I want our Instagram audience to also be able to see what we're doing. And Instagram essentially just went dark here. So I got to just help them restart there. Right. So I think I got that. In Instagram, you have to put their stream key in so we know what's going on here. And so let me just save the changes. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing shortly. Let me see if this is live. Okay, I think I can go live here. I think I'm streaming on Instagram. Wow. Okay, maybe it's not streaming. Let's see if it's going live on Instagram. I may need to start. It says you're live. Oh, all right. Well, we'll see what's going on Instagram. It says it's live, but it isn't. Okay. Well, we'll have to worry about Instagram later. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about ginger on lung congestion. And the interesting, I'm having a cup of ginger and turmeric right now. Ginger is one of these herbs that's a multi-systems herb. In the traditional systems of ancient systems of medicine, it affects the 3 aspects of your system: transport, conversion, storage. In the Indian system, it's called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and we'll discuss more about that. Before I start, I'm just going to quickly just play our intro video, and then we're going to start. Remember, this is a part of everything I do here, is a part of our movement for truth, freedom, health. And for the last, half a decade, I've done a lot of stuff to deliver solutions and to also expose those people who create problems in the world. And it has been quite an important job that needed to get done, and we've done it. Our warrior scholars do it, but we're going to be pivoting very, very hard in 2024 because we've done pretty much the noble work of exposing all these fools. But it's time that all of you recognize that we have incredible solutions. Everyone, if you want to start, go get the book System and Revolution, because this book will teach you what is a system, what is real change, and you can use it for your body, politics, for fighting for freedom, for your health, everything. So start with that. And then we have a whole range of solutions because of the technology that I created called CytoSolve that allows us to do research faster and cheaper, better than even the largest research institutions in the world. And with that research, we're bringing all that research to people. And so that's why I do a lot of these molecular systems videos on looking at a particular indication. Let's say, in this case, it's lung congestion, and looking at natural ingredients. In this case, we're looking at ginger, and what are the components in that ingredient at a chemical level that is important to alleviate, in this case, lung congestion. So, but that's part of our entire movement for Truth, Freedom, Health. Truth, Freedom, Health is about delivering solutions from health to enabling you to fight and to heal, to think, to fight, and heal. So, be right back. All right, just want to make a quick announcement before we start. For many, many years, almost 16 years, after I came back from my PhD work at MIT and it did a Fulbright, I was able to intersect the ancient systems of indigenous medicines, Indian medicine, Ayurveda, then Siddha with modern engineering theory. And I taught a course at MIT, then we used to teach it here called Systems Health. That gave rise to all the books like Your Body, Your System, where we intersected health and engineering. And then when I got involved more in electoral politics, we realized you could apply these same principles to truth, freedom, and health. These three very fundamental principles. But this next Saturday, you're all welcome. We will be running our Systems Health 3-day workshop. It's an intensive that's part of the Master Certification Program where you'll really learn the science of systems. It's really a very powerful science that unifies East and West. You can go read about, I'll share this link right now with all of you. So you can really read about how I came across this scientific understanding of system science and how you can use it for everything. So I just put a link up there for you guys, but let me just walk you through this. But with this science, it really is an educational transform that transforms you to think, to know truth and see things as they are, to fight, to win freedom and create new wealth, and to heal, to become your own healer in many ways and discover health. And this knowledge base, and a lot of people have a lot of big egos like gurus and professors or yogis, but this knowledge base is for everyone because this knowledge base does not exist anywhere else but through what we've uncovered here. And on in Cambridge, 16th through 18th, first there's a theory. During the first day, I go through the journey of systems, foundations of systems. You actually learn in an intensive, one of the most oldest systems of Indian medicine. And then I teach you Western systems biology. And then you understand circadian physiology and rhythms. And then we go to the many systems of yoga and meditation. And we will take one herb and we'll go deep into it, taking from an Eastern approach and a Western approach. And that ends the first day. Then we do a laboratory. I'll teach you a 5,000-year-old system of yoga that's rarely taught in the United States. You'll learn a very powerful meditation practice. And then we have a tool called Your Body, Your System that you can use to understand your body as a system. You'll break up into pairs, and then we'll actually teach you how different foods affect you differently. And you can literally do some really cool combination work with this tool to get educated in how different elements affect you. Okay? Finally, the last day, there are many people who want to leave their existing jobs, who want to become educators of systems approaches, and we teach you how to go through that and essentially get into your own quote-unquote line of education doing this. So anyway, this is in Cambridge. So I hope all of you can join. I'll be teaching it directly. I haven't done it in a while, but people have been clamoring for it. And we'll be taking this solution. That's what systems health is. If you know doctors, if you know yoga teachers, practitioners, all of them are going to learn because they're going to have a common educational model to integrate East and West. All right. So let's talk about our topic today, which is taking this Eastern and Western approach to look at ginger. Ginger, it's a rhizome actually. And we're going to go through it very deeply. And I want to thank our CytoSolve, our science team, which is part of our truth aspect of Truth, Freedom, Health, who did this analysis using the technology and the processes that I created. So let's go right to our presentation today. And let me bring it up here. Okay. Where is it? Here we go. All right. All right. So here we go. Let's start with an understanding of what ginger is. But again, as I mentioned to you, we take a systems perspective here. So again, to those of you joining, we're going to be talking about ginger on lung congestion and what it can do to reduce it. Now, the approach, as many of you know, for those of you new, the solutions approach we take to looking at anything is a systems approach. And a systems approach is different than what we call a reductionist approach. The reductionist approach is if you take the human body and you don't look at it as a system of interconnected parts, but you just focus on one part. And Western medicine is extremely good at doing that. God forbid something happens to your hand, right? And you get in an injury. Western medicine is great at figuring that out, doing the microsurgery, giving you all the intense medicines that you need in a crisis. if something happens, you have a car accident, God forbid, and something happens to your liver. Western medicine is good at figuring out how to do a liver transplant, all those things. But Western medicine has very little systems-based knowledge of recognizing, wait a minute, something going on in the liver is also related to your skin and your eyes, you see, or something going on in your kidneys and your adrenals, maybe linked to your hearing. And that's a systems-based approach. So fortunately, I've been able to get the best of Western medicine, which is the systems biology approach, and Eastern medicine. So when we discuss ginger, that's the approach we're going to take. Now, as a part of that, for those of you who are new, I think it'll be valuable for you guys to recognize that this journey to systems for me has been a long journey that's taken over many, many years. And I'll play you a quick video that'll give you an understanding of that journey that I've gone through to come to a systems understanding. Welcome to VA Shiva. VA Shiva is a product of my journey across East and West, science and tradition, ancient and modern, that brings you the science of systems so you can become a force for truth, freedom, health. VA Shiva is a platform of revolutionary education, community building, and weaponry for unleashing local activism. My journey to VA Shiva begins in the chaos of Bombay, where I experienced diverse religions, languages, castes, and in a small village that had no running water, no electricity, where my grandmother, a poor village farmer, practiced Siddha, an ancient system of Indian medicine over 10,000 years old. She observed one's face, the art of Samudrika Lakshanam, to understand a body's unique constitution, allowing her to deliver the right medicine for the right person at the right time. Watching my grandmother heal others, I was inspired to study medicine, but I was also aware of the corrupt caste system of India, which denigrated a human being, where my family were considered low caste untouchables, where one's birth determined one's destiny. The grit and determination of my mother and father led them to get educated and to come to America, a 1 in a trillion event. Their actions inspired me to work hard and excel. While in 9th grade, I attended New York University in a computer science program, and subsequently, at the age of 14, was given a full-time job as a research fellow at what is now known as Rutgers Medical School in the heart of Newark, New Jersey. There I investigated the system of sleep using mathematics, computer science, and biology for sudden infant death syndrome. It was there in Newark where I invented email, when I was the first to convert every feature of the physical, paper-based inter-office mail system, including inbox, outbox, memo, carbon copy, blind carbon copy, attachments, into its electronic equivalent, a system which I named email, a term that I was the first to coin. On August 30th, 1982, I was awarded the first U.S. copyright for the invention of this system, recognizing me as the inventor of email. At that time, copyright was the only way to protect software inventions. I went on to MIT, where I earned 4 degrees across multiple systems of engineering: electrical, mechanical, design, biological. That training led me to invent many other systems for advancing humankind. EchoMail, the world's first intelligent email management system. CytoSolve, a computational biology system for eliminating animal testing to discover new medicines faster, cheaper, and safer. And to the creation of a whole systems methodology for certifying clean food. These innovations led me back on a Fulbright to India, where I discovered the missing link between Eastern medicine and Western systems theory, honoring my grandmother, to develop Your Body, Your System, a powerful tool that will help you understand how your body is a system and how the inputs of food, supplements, and exercise bring your body back to its natural system state. And Systems Health, an integrative educational discipline that is now integrated into the VA Shiva platform that will enable you to learn the science of systems, the science of everything, be it your body as a system or our society and politics as a system, to reveal the foundational interrelationships between truth, freedom, health. Now is the time for you to be the light, learn the science of systems, build community, and weaponize yourself to unleash the activism necessary to deliver truth, freedom, health in your local community. Welcome to VA Shiva. All right, everyone. So we're going to be talking today about ginger, and that journey to systems is very important because, as many of you know, I'm running for president of the United States. This is a solution that I offer, and that solution is we need to take a systems approach to health and well-being. And because of a non-systems approach, look at what's going on to the life expectancy in the United States. We have this flyer. Everyone can go get at SHIVAforpresident.com, and you can see the life expectancy is going down, okay? And this is not because of the quote unquote vaccines or any of those things alone. It's a systemic issue of a multiplicity of factors that has been done to destroy people's health. And that's why you need to take a systems approach. And we're, everything we do at Truth, Freedom, and Health, everything I do in our research, we're the only organization on the planet that is enabling right now about 500 million people throughout the world who understand this because of our work, 500,000 people who are going through the educational process. But this is what's going to change the world. Watching TV, watching social media, watching these foolish grifters is not going to do anything for you. It's time that we set what our goal is. Turn off all these people and take a systems approach. And Truth, Freedom, Health is a place to do it. So the videos that I do here are to engage you to see, wow, Dr. Shiva is taking a systems approach to understand how ginger affects lung congestion. Who else is teaching me that? And then to inspire you to become a leader. And we've created a whole program where you can lead, right? I don't want followers. I want to have my life be about generating other leaders, okay? So we can be a light unto the world and you can be a light unto the world. So these videos are meant to, inspire you to do that. All right. So let's go to ginger and get into it a little bit. All right. So one of the things I want to let you know is, by the way, people are asking, you can go to truthfreedomhealth.com. You can become a warrior scholar. You can support the research. You can contribute. Anyone who gives $100 or more, you get all these gifts that we send to you. We send you courses. We send you books. But go to truthfreedomhealth.com and you get around 15 books, 15 different gifts, tools, software, content, the Foundations of Systems course, etc. And by the way, every Thursdays at 11 a.m. and 8 p.m., we do an orientation where you're all invited to come and go to vashiva.com/orientation. All right. So let's talk about ginger. First, let's begin with the science and the truth, right? Truth, freedom, health. Let's begin with the science, which is about ultimately going towards truth. So ginger, first of all, it's one of the most commonly used dietary condiments in the world. A lot of people don't know it. So out of the 8 billion people, the most commonly used condiment is ginger. It's a rhizome. Now, the rhizome, everyone needs to understand, is the main portion of ginger that is consumed. It's not it's quote unquote, I should put root, but it's the thing that hangs off the root. And its medicinal use of ginger dates back to around 5,000 years in both Chinese and Indian medicines. And the medicinal effects of ginger is attributed to a very interesting compound called gingerol. And there's many different kinds of gingerols, as we'll see, because an ingredient is not just made of one compound, which is what pharmaceutical companies want to do. This is made up of multiple compounds. And ginger, even the FDA recognizes as safe, generally recognized as safe, GRAS. It's acronym called GRAS. Now, there's 115 chemical compounds that have been identified, and there's probably more in ginger, and they go into minerals, vitamins, and gingerols. Okay, that's a composition. And before we go to really understand how these components of ginger affect, your body and the lungs, I want to just take a little bit of effort to teach you what the lungs are, okay, and how they operate. So let's go into that. So let's go to how the lungs operate. So you may know some of this from your high school biology class, but when you look at the lungs, here's your normal airway. By the way, when you breathe, right, you breathe through your nose, you're breathing in oxygen, and then your body's letting out CO2. As your body breathes in air and lets out air, you have these particular major airways which feed into your lungs, and the lungs are composed of these very small sacs called alveolar sacs, alveoli. But the airways, in the normal case, your muscles are not, enlarged, like this, or under inflammation. You have normal airways, and this is your normal airway wall. You can see they're pretty thin. When your lungs are under congestion, which is the quote unquote the disturbed state, as we say in system science, it's scarred and it's thickened. Okay, and the airway wall gets thickened, and you have a lot of this mucus, and the airway wall gets widened. Okay, so this is the difference that occurs. And we're going to go shortly to understand the mechanisms of action that we're going to go through there. Okay, what happens at the molecular level when this happens? All right, it's enough for me to say at the anatomical level, but what occurs at the molecular level? Because once you understand that congested state, then you can see how particular compounds can be helped to inhibit that. So, all right, so let's go to that. So if we look at the systems biology here, now when you're under congestion, this is a result of excess blood in specific parts of the lungs. And a common system of respiratory tract infections, you have the mucous membranes become very, very inflamed. You got excessive mucus production. And obviously, if you've experienced this, it's very, very difficult to breathe. And then what happens is, because you have that excess mucus, and you have less oxygen coming in, this becomes an ideal, almost a perfect breeding ground for bacteria, leading to secondary infections, right? So this is why it gets, it's not a good situation, because you have the inflammation, you have the respiratory tract infection, and then this causes breathing, and then it's a great ground for a bacteria to breed it. What I'm going to share with you when we look at ginger is, we looked at around 12,260 research articles. That's a lot of papers that have been written out there. Ginger is one of the most widely reached dietary supplements. It's called, Zingiber officinal. And over about, nearly 90 years of medical research have been spent on it, and 231 clinical trials. So what a clinical trial is where they take ginger and they actually bring in human beings. It's not done just in animals or animal testing or test tube testing, which is called in vitro. Animal testing is called in vivo. It's actually done with human clinical trials. And you can see there's been quite a number of studies that have been done here. Probably more clinical trials than some drugs, many drugs, okay? So what we do is we take all of this information. Some of you may know, CytoSolve is a technology that I created in 2003 to 7 as a part of my PhD work. In 2003, at the age of 40, I returned back to MIT because I was really interested in medical research, but I really hated the way that Western biology looked at the world as parts. And in 2003, a new field of biology was being created called systems biology. So I came back. I was probably one of the first PhD students to graduate out of that department at MIT. And the idea was connecting the parts to understand the whole. So I created a technology that could really connect different molecular reactions in the body to create a whole systems model of the cell. It's quite a revolutionary technology. With that technology, we've helped many, many organizations develop new medicines, nutraceuticals, supplements, and now we are no longer, very few companies we help, we're actually using that to identify amazing combinations of plants and herbs in nature, versus just say, buy this supplement. We actually do all the groundbreaking research. So when we put something out, it's coming from this real deep down research, versus every Tom, Dick, and Harry throwing supplements together, and a lot of that stuff becomes snake oil. All right, so CytoSolve allows us to do that. So CytoSolve is a very, very powerful, revolutionary technology that allows us to do that. And what we do here is we take, in this case, we took all these papers, we ran them through CytoSolve, and we extracted all the molecular pathways related to ginger. And then for those pathways, we analyzed the molecular pathways, which targets they hit to essentially deliver this video. The way pharmaceutical companies work is they essentially take a single compound, and this is important to understand. So they take an individual chemical compound, a synthetic compound. And for those of you who really want to understand what pharma works, and then they do test tube screening on that compound. So they take a test tube, and in that test tube, maybe they'll put cancer cells, okay? And with those, in those cancer cells, they may drop one of their chemotherapy agents. And if they see it killing the cancer cells, they will then go raise money. This is what professors do at universities. And then they go start a biotech company or a pharma company, all right? Then that company then spends 3 or 4 or 5 years killing animals to see if that same compound will reduce a tumor and not kill the animal. If they get past that, then as you can see, they go down the process of clinical trials, right? And clinical trials are where they take small groups of humans, phase 1, larger groups, and eventually lots of groups called phase 3 trials. And as a part of that, they are trying to prove that this drug works on humans and it doesn't kill you. Well, the problem is this entire pharmaceutical process over the last many years has been failing. Drug companies are spending more and more money on R&D, and less new molecular entities, as they call it, are even being approved by the FDA because of the toxicity. So this is why CytoSolve is very important, because we can look at compounds in nature, combinations. And the reason this process has been occurring is because all of the scientific establishment, by and large, is like blind men looking at the elephant. So they look at parts of the problem. They don't look at the whole. And if they did, they'd get something that looks nothing like the elephant. And so that's why CytoSolve is spectacular. It's a solution that I've worked on for 16 years. And we use that technology we do a lot of work for free. Recently, we won the Editor's Choice Award by one of the leading journals in oncology, where we mapped out all the molecular pathways of leukemia. We did that for periodontitis. We did that for osteoarthritis. We've done that for now 25 major diseases. Using that research, which we do, and we can do that research faster than MIT, Stanford, Yale, all right? And doing that research, we then convert them to mathematical models, not these AI goofball things, actual mechanistic models, where we can test ingredients in silico without the need for animal testing. How many presidential candidates out there have done that? How many can even educate you on this? They can't. These people are all problem creators. The world needs people who solve problems. So CytoSolve is an incredible solution that I created, like email, okay? So that's what we do. We integrate all this research. And in fact, I'll come back to this. For many, many years, I've been helping other organizations and companies validate their products. About 2 years ago, we used CytoSolve to look at all the papers in osteoarthritis. 500 million people in the world suffer osteoarthritis. And we went through all these different ingredients, and we found 2 ingredients. One comes from bitter orange, and the other comes from chamomile. And we combine those ingredients in the right ratios, right? Pharma doesn't know how to do any of this combination stuff. And we were able to have a profound effect on alleviating natural discomfort and what you call pain, quote unquote pain, in the body, right? For osteoarthritis. And then we manufactured it. You guys liked it, and we did more, and we were back ordered. So I'll talk more about it. I'll play a little video about it. But we are now using CytoSolve to go after every disease on the planet to identify combinations. And we're going to have more and more stuff coming out, but we will transparently share the science. In fact, we're going to open source the science. We're not going to keep it just for ourselves. We're going to open source it. And you guys, if you want to, instead of giving money away to these multi-billion-dollar institutions, we do research at a fraction of the cost. So that's another solution, okay? So let me, I'll come back to MV25. A number of you are asking, what is it? How does it work? And I'll come back to that, okay? But I just want to let you know that we are in full research solutions development mode in developing new solutions. So let me, and by the way, if you want to get MV25, you can go to the shop on VA/Shiva and get it, and I'll come back to that. But let me talk about using this CytoSolve approach. We don't just look at one molecule in ginger, right? We're looking at all the molecules in ginger. And so you see, that's a systems-based approach, because I wish I had a ginger root here. I have a lot of it at home. So ginger root has many, many molecules. Pharma companies just look at one molecule, right? So we're looking at many, many molecules here in ginger. So if we look at ginger, what are those molecules? Well, first of all, look at all these gingerol compounds, gingerols. And these are all organic compounds, comes from nature. I mean, nature itself is an amazing pharmacy. Your body, by the way, is a pharmaceutical factory. It creates compounds too. But you can see there are 12 different types of gingers, okay? And these gingers have different effects on different parts of your body, and some of them may have no effect. And then there's 6 flavonoids. Quercetin. I've done a number of videos on quercetin. Quercetin is, in my view, one of the most amazing bioflavonoids. Apigenin is a bioflavonoid. We use it in MV25, but the bioflavonoids, they're not, I mean, they're well researched, but these are powerful, powerful, powerful medicines from nature. But ginger also has these bioflavonoids, as you can see. Okay, in fact, it has 6 of them: quercetin, rutin, catechin, epicatechin, narogenin, and camphorol. Okay, 6. So you got 6 plus 12, that's 18. Okay, and then it's got 6 phytosteroids. Okay, phytosterols, actually, sterols. Okay, beta-sitosterol, dalcosterol. I'm not going to pronounce the others, right? But there are these 6 sterols, plant sterols, which have many, many other properties, right? So you take the 6, the 12, these are the 24 compounds. And this is actually the molecular structure of some of those compounds. So you can see 6-gingerol is here. And the reason it's called 6-gingerol is because if you count from the benzene ring here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the OH group is here. So that's the 6th carbon position here. 10th gingerol is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry, it's from the edge here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And 8 gingerols, 8, and so on. So these are gingerols. And then here's quercetin, again, a very powerful compound. Here's beta-sitosterol and so on, right? But I love these organic compounds. And these pieces, the reactive pieces, have very powerful effects in your body. So these are the 24 molecules of ginger. I just want you to sort of absorb that. So you're looking at a medicine. Pharmaceutical companies cannot create a medicine like this. 24 molecules, nature is structured together. So what we do at CytoSolve is, again, we don't get funded by big pharma. We don't get funded by universities. We fund it, okay? And we're going to be opening up, we started at our Open Science Institute, and you can directly fund research. And we will directly use that research to publish it and to make that research accessible. But think about what I'm talking about. It's a multi-combination medicine. That's what ginger is. This is why they say food is medicine. And you can see it right there. All right. So when we look at it, what are the health systems that ginger affects? Remember, we're taking a systems approach. Just like I talked about, by the way, everyone can go to shivaforpresident.com, download this flyer, get a bumper sticker. You want to support everything I'm doing to change the world. I'm running for president, and the establishment purposefully, the mainstream media and particularly the grifter media network, Fucker Carlson included, all these people have no interest in promoting engineers or scientists, people who have 4 degrees at MIT, people who invent email, people who actually solve problems. They're into creating theater for you. So if you want to change the world, start supporting people like me and others who solve problems. And one way you can do it is just go get a bumper sticker, put it on the back of your car, and you can reach 100,000 people driving around per day and get one of these flyers and start educating people on what's going on with the lifespan in the country. It's a systems problem, and go get the swarm video. But when we look at ginger here, we're looking at it as a system, okay? 24 molecules, but ginger also affects multiple subsystems in your body, okay? So ginger affects, for example, your lungs. which is what we're talking about today. It affects digestive health. Ginger is amazing. If you ever have nausea or your stomach doesn't feel good, you can make some ginger tea, and it's just phenomenal. And there's a whole paper, a set of videos I did on this on digestive health you can go find. All right. But ginger's been shown to have incredibly powerful effects for digestive health, liver health, brain health, heart health, metabolic health. So these are 6 subsystems. You see, it's a multi-systems medicine. All right. Ginger also has 5 different effects of ginger. It's an antioxidant, anti-aging, anti-fibrotic, right? Fibrosis, right? Like in the lungs. This should actually be, it should be anti-cancer here. All right. Let me save that. Sorry about that. I hate spelling mistakes. All right. So it's anti-cancer. It's we have 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry about this. We have 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. And it's anti-inflammatory. Okay. These are the 5 major effects of ginger. All right. Anti-fibrotic, anti-inflammatory, which many of you may have known. And it has these 5 very powerful effects. All right. Let me go back to our screen there. All right. Sorry about that. But ginger has these 5 effects on your body: anti-aging, anti-fibrotic, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. So we have gone through at a somewhat detailed level, understanding the components of ginger. What are the systems it affects? Remember, I told you when I started this that when you look at lung congestion, that lung congestion itself is created by machinery in your system, which starts to fail, which doesn't do the right things. Those machineries, as systems biologists, we call them molecular systems or molecular pathways, okay? Molecular pathways. So what are the molecular pathways that are involved in lung congestion? So again, lung congestion itself is a system it's a system of systems. So I want to educate you on that. Again, we want to provide you, I could just say, here's a vitamin, take it. And we could use CytoSolve, I suppose, and maybe we should, to build some very powerful combinations for lung congestion, which we may in the future. But I want to educate you guys so you guys can, in many ways, understand the mechanics here. So if we look at lung congestion, look at all these molecular pathways that are involved in lung congestion, okay? All right. There's 5 of them, I'm sorry. 5 molecular pathways. One is called the arachidonic acid metabolism pathway, cytokine production via MAPK, cytokine production via NF-kappa beta, mucin production, the stuff that produces mucus. And then the way you stop lung congestion is if you can have smooth muscle relaxation, right? So when your muscles become tight, it accentuates lung congestion. So these are 5 pathways. And if we go down and look at what a pathway is, you will find in the scientific literature, people have spent decades of their lives understanding these chemical pathways. Just one chemical pathway, you can win a Nobel Prize. So we have taken all those pathways that are involved, at least to be specific, these 5 pathways, and we've mapped them out using CytoSolve. So that's the arachidonic acid pathway. This is a cytokine production. Cytokines, as I've talked about in previous videos, are the messenger molecules across tissues and across organ systems in the body, okay? And those are cytokines. I'm sorry, with the intracellular, right? And then you have cytokine production. Hormones are the ones that go across organs and tissues, NF-kappa beta, okay? Which is another pathway. Again, you see all these ball and stick diagrams. These are these detailed chemical pathways. And then you have mucin production. Mucin production is how your body in here, and we'll get into this, produces mucus. And then finally, your body has smooth muscle relaxation. Now, if I told you, hey, I want to create a product that can alleviate lung congestion, what do you need to do? All right. You need to do at least, well, from our research, 5 things, not just one thing. So if you go, there's a product, I think a pharmaceutical product called Mucinex, which eliminates mucus in your body. But that has a lot of other side effects too. It's not doing it in a holistic way. All right. Thank you. People are saying Dr. Shiva for president. Yes, Dr. Shiva for president. Everyone watching this, just to take a quick quote unquote commercial break, know that I'm running for president. You can get one of these, bumper stickers, put it on your car. Those of you outside of the United States, go support our movement for truth, freedom, health by getting Shatter the Swarm. All right. Bottom line is that I'm the only presidential candidate who's put in the time and the effort, who wants to educate you. All right. And that's what this world needs. So this world needs leaders who actually take a systems approach to educate you and not get you into theater. All these other people, all theatrical people, they get you into fear. All these social media influencers, they create problems. You get anxious, you get depressed, and they don't serve you at all. Go to Truth, Freedom, Health, become a warrior scholar, get involved in our movement, and you can support this kind of work that we do. And we don't go begging to other institutions. We do it on our own because we're building a global movement. All right. So when we want to find a solution for lung congestion as a systems approach, I could tell you, oh, go take this drug. But we want to understand the multiple systems. And you can see there's 5 systems involved here in reducing mucus production or alleviating lung congestion. All right. Patricia House says you'd be the best president. I agree. I would be the best president. And if you want me as president, by the way, again, quick break, go to Shiva for president, support the campaign. We need to get on the ballot in every state. Us getting on the ballot is itself a major, major blow to the establishment. And support the campaign, okay? Because I'm a full-time scientist. I produce videos like this. We have to get on the ground and we have to expose these charlatans who create problems. And then I also have to deliver science to you. So do your part and get involved, okay? So when we look at this, there's 5 different things we want to affect, okay? And those 5 things, if we could find something that affects all of those things, then you have a very powerful medicine that's doing this holistically. And you're not just doing one thing and causing damage to others. So if you want to reduce, if you want to support the arachidonic, if you want to reduce lung congestion via the arachidonic acid pathway, you want to reduce PGE2. This is a chemical that your body produces, and you want to bring it down. That's what we're saying with this diagram. IL-1 and IL-8 are 2 cytokines that your body produces when you have lung congestion. You want to bring that down. Same with cytokine production via NF-kappa beta, your body produces IL-6 and again IL-8. And when your body's producing mucus, it's producing this chemical called mucin 5, and this is what you want to bring down. And when you want your body positively to relax yourself, right, MLCP is what you want to increase. By the way, as you know, relaxation, meditation, sitting and observing your breath is a very powerful way to relax your body. Relaxation is important. That's a mind-body connection. All right. So those are the 4 pathways we want to hit, guys. All right. So how are we going to do that? Right. So now I'm going to walk you through very methodically, what are the compounds in ginger that affect us to do that? Okay. So we understand lung congestion. We understand the molecules in ginger. And now we're going to understand how these molecules affect that molecular machinery. By the way, we're only talking about ginger. If you go look at our lung series that we did 5 other herbs before. This is the 6th one. We're going to do 4 others. So you can take a combination too, right? So you can figure out how you can support yourself. All right. So let's go here. So let's look at the effects of ginger now in lung congestion. What we understood was out of those 5 molecular systems that are involved in lung congestion, ginger affects 3 of them. Okay. Ginger is great. It affects 3. There could be other herbs that affect the other 2, but ginger affects 3 of them. Okay. So let's go look at those herbs that ginger's good at. So ginger has been shown to have a relaxation effect, broncho-relaxation, anti-asthma effect, anti-fibrotic effect, and anti-hypersecretion effect, which means it lowers mucus, it lowers fibrosis, and it relaxes the lungs, okay? Again, to review, ginger has these 24 molecules. So let's look at now 3 of these molecules, 3 of the gingerols. Look what they do. They're quite powerful. They're broncho-relaxation effect, right? You're coughing, you're tight, your chest is tight. You want to relax that. Ginger has 3 compounds, 3 very powerful molecules, not just one synthetic pharmaceutical drug, but it has 3 very powerful compounds. What are those 3 compounds? Let's look at them, okay? By the way, before I go to this, before I go to analyzing all of this, remember I told you I'm going to talk about how we discovered a product where we combined 2 of them. So I want to take a quick quote unquote commercial break. Any one of the things we do is really more educational, but I want to talk to you about this thing we created called MV25. And we use the same approach to identify 2 molecules in nature that we were able to combine in the right ratios to affect a completely different area, biological system called osteoarthritis. I'm going to do this. I'm going to just have a cup of ginger tea actually right here. Hold on one second. And this is how MV25 works. And then we're going to come back and look at the molecules in ginger and how they affect these molecular pathways.
Millions of people suffer every day from painful discomfort and swelling, but most pain medications come with harsh side effects, and many alternative supplements have little scientific backing. That's why we at CytoSolve created MV25. MV25 was formulated using the CytoSolve computational systems biology platform, a technology for precision and personalized health invented by Dr.SHIVA during his doctoral research at MIT. This formulation is the result of computing trillions of potential combinations of biomolecular interactions derived from thousands of peer-reviewed scientific papers published across 4 decades by 68 research institutions to discover an optimal synergy of compounds that downregulate biomarkers of discomfort and normal swelling.
Hi, I'm Barbara Ann. My hands would cramp up so that I couldn't hold cards or knit or crochet, and they would go like that. And I'd have to use this when I played cards with my grandkids. And I started taking that MV25. After a bit, I was able to hold cards in my hand. Very, very little cramping, hardly at all anymore. MV25.
Hi, my name is Sandy. I'm a Taekwondo instructor. I tore my ACL during Taekwondo. I had a lot of pain and limited mobility. I've been taking the MV25 for about 6 months now. After the first week, I noticed a big difference. After the second week, almost literally no pain.
My name is Jeremy, and I suffer from a lower back problem. Hurt my back at work years ago, and I can go to the chiropractor, do all kinds of different things, and nothing seems to help. And I decided to try MV25. I didn't notice a difference immediately, but within a few days the pain went away, and it stayed away. I've continued to take it, and even when I do things that I shouldn't do, it seems to go away a lot quicker than it ever did before.
MV25 is certified clean, 100% non-GMO, made in America, and GMP certified for good manufacturing practices. MV25 is CytoSolve optimized, which means that this formula has been engineered to maximize benefits while minimizing toxicity based on current research curated by CytoSolve. As the science advances, so will this formulation. This is our promise. Order online at mv25.life. Consult your doctor before taking any supplement or medication and use as directed. MV25.
That was a quick break so you could understand that we're actually applying this research more recently to actually create products from really understanding what's going on at the molecular systems level rather than just randomly throwing crap together, right? So you can go get MV25, go to vashiva.com, and you go to shop, or you can go to mv25.life. And if you go to the shop, you'll find it right there, okay? So now getting back to ginger, the same approach that we took to creating MV25 is the same approach that we use to just doing research to educate people, right? So in this case, when you look at the 3 molecular systems that are involved in ginger, we want to now focus on these three that ginger affects from the science. And so these are the 24 molecules. And as we said, let's look at one of them, bronchorelaxation effect. So again, there are these pathways. These are called these molecular pathways. And when you have bronchorelaxation, which is a good thing, by the way, you want that, okay? So this the outer circle here represents your lung epithelial cell. Remember, when COVID was happening, people were essentially getting inflammation in their lungs, okay? Edema, the body was filling up with congestion. If you go back to 2020, I was the first scientist who said the fear-mongering of this quote-unquote pandemic would lead to all sorts of major problems, more globally, right? Destruction of freedom, destruction of dissent, right? Mandated medicine. Everything I said in March of 2020 came true. But the reason I was able to say that and I had that foresight is because I'm a systems guy. I solve problems. I do the work. Trump didn't say that. Booby Kennedy was promoting lockdowns. And all these people are now trying to rewrite history, all of them. But when the problems were taking place, when the crisis was hitting, I was the only one sharing the science and giving you guys the wisdom you needed because I take a systems approach. And at Truth Freedom Health, we want to train all of you to become leaders. So you don't rely on me, so you could have that wisdom. So we want leaders, not followers. But the reason I bring that up is that the quote unquote antigens that come from, whether it be bacteria, fungus, viruses, wherever they're coming from, they like to go to different parts of your body. Well, the spike protein likes to go to your lung epithelial tissue, okay? And because of that, it causes inflammation, etc. And so the epithelial cell is a cell within the epithelial tissue in your lungs. So that's why this is important, okay? Your heart has endothelial cells. You see, we have about 300 different cell types, 12 different organs. So different organs have different cell types. So the reason I'm focusing on educating you on the epithelial cell is that's what we're talking about. This is an epithelial cell. And what happens here is one of the driving forces behind asthma is a constriction of the airways, right? People can't breathe, right? If you've ever seen someone with asthma. Now, 6-gingerol, 8-gingerol, and 6-shogol activate PKC, which is right here, which is a very important chemical, PKC, via PDE4. So the gingerol, the 6 and the 8, and the shogol in ginger, those three very powerful chemicals activate PDE4, which then activates PKC. The important thing to also understand is they also activate the GQ receptor on the cell surface, which is like a glove, which captures this molecule, and that then activates and it signals PLC beta, which then activates PKC. But at the end of it, this results in calcium 2 influx, and that influx of calcium ions into the sarcoplasmic reticulum leads to bronchodilations of the airway, which means bronchorelaxation, okay? So it's a complex set of mechanisms, but this is what we want to understand. We want to understand the molecular machinery, and we want you to understand this. The bottom line is these three very powerful chemicals, compounds, naturally occurring compounds in ginger allow your body or your lung, bronchorelaxation to take place, which is very, very important for alleviating lung congestion, right? So that's one. Let's go to the next effect that ginger has. Anti-fibrosis effect, okay? So again, you have the epithelial mesenchymal cell, a different cell in the lungs, okay? And when you have fibrosis, which is a hardening of the lungs, there's a disease called pulmonary fibrosis. Unfortunately, my mom passed away of it, as I've shared before, because she worked in a factory which had all these fibers. Over time, it affected her lungs. In those days, people didn't know a lot about this. When we first came to the United States, she worked in this factory. But fibrosis took place, and that's a scarring of the lungs. And fibrosis occurs, as you see this, through a process where you have dehydration of the epithelium and you have the inflammation of the epithelium. So both those things cause fibrosis. Well, guess what? If you block these things, you can stop fibrosis. Well, how do you block them? Well, the way you block them is if we can induce through beta-sitosterol, which is a natural plant sterol, which is in ginger, that will shut off TGF beta, okay? Now, TGF beta, when you block that, the blocking of this inhibits the expression of E-catechin, vimentin, and alpha smooth muscle actin. And these things then are able to block the dehydration of the epithelium and inflammation of the epithelium. Bottom line is that beta-sitosterol from ginger inhibits TGF beta, which stops fibrosis, okay? So again, so now we have 4 chemicals we've identified in ginger. Again, natural compounds, which have 3 of them, which have the relax your smooth muscles, which is good. And then they also have an anti-fibrotic effect, all right? Because you don't want the hardening taking place when you have lung congestion occurring. Then finally, there's the anti-mucus, right? Hypersecretion, right? Your lungs are putting out way too much fluids. And so we need to understand how mucus secretion occurs, okay? Well, mucus secretion occurs when you have over-induction of PKC, over-induction of PKC, which induces EGFR, which then induces MUC5AC, which then causes mucus hypersecretion. But guess what quercetin does? Again, that other chemical among the 24 chemicals, quercetin from ginger downregulates mucus production via PKC inhibition, all right? So now we have 5 different chemicals. 3 of them affect bronchorelaxation. 1 of them affects fibrosis reduction, and the other affects, the mucus production. So anyway, I highly recommend, on a separate note, if I take as a preventative quercetin and zinc together. We're just completing some very powerful research. I've done many videos talking about quercetin and zinc, but we've gone down on the molecular level to show the actual mechanics. It's quite a good paper that we're coming out with. All right. So those are the multiple ways in which how ginger has these effects. All right. So as I mentioned at the start of this discussion, everything I've shared with you is a molecular systems approach from the Western training I've gotten. But I've also gotten the Eastern training to look at your body as a system, and everyone has a different constitution. When you go to Truth, Freedom, Health, become a warrior scholar, one of the gifts that I give you is a gift which is called Your Body, Your System. Your Body, Your System allows you to understand your body as a system, what kinds of elements of transport, conversion, and storage have in your body, and how different types of events that take in your body upset your constitution and how you can alleviate them. So now I'm going to take the Eastern or the systems approach to understanding your body as a system. All right. So, by the way, you can go to Your Body, Your System. And there you'll understand the body has these 3 forces: transport, conversion, storage. In the Indian system, it's called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. They're the same. And so if you take your body, you can use Your Body, Your System, and it'll map out your body as a system. You can answer these different sets of questions to understand what kind of system you are. You can understand how your body's off course and what are the right kinds of foods that affect those systems parameters, right? So what we want to talk about is ginger. Look what ginger does. So if your body is here, ginger lowers transport, right? It lowers vata. It lowers pitta conversion. People have digestive issues, right? When you have high pitta, it alleviates it, right? Now, fresh ginger increases pitta conversion. So depending on if you have, where your body, things don't feel right in your body, right? Like your stomach, you ate something, then you want to lower it. But ginger supports both. It really balances it. It's a very interesting herb. And then ginger also lowers kapha, which is mucus, you see? So that's from the Eastern approach. And by the way, if you become a Truth from Health warrior and you contribute, I can't take your money for anything. I give you all sorts of gifts. So you learn how to become a warrior scholar. You get System and Revolution. You get Your Body, Your System. So get involved in that. And you also get access to the Your Body, Your System tool. And what I want to really recognize to everyone, if there's anything that I like to promote, is solutions, right? And these solutions that I want to promote and I want to get you involved in is solutions themselves that solve multiple problems. If you go through the Truth, Freedom, and Health Warrior System program, you understand that the same three forces that control the universe affect your body. They also affect politics. You see, the word truth, freedom, health also means transport, conversion, and storage. And that's what I uncovered. So we now have a very powerful way to understand your body as a system, everything in the world as a system. And I'm going to play our anthem video, which will hopefully inspire you, not only, and I'll wrap up on Ginger, but to get involved in a much more profound way in the large systems approach. We have allowed our country to be taken over from within, and the end goal is you will have a homogenized world where we will become slaves, because there is a condition among the elites that really thinks they're better than you, deep down inside them, that you don't deserve the freedoms you have. They don't. This reality is what people need to wake up to, and we need to all unite, working people. There's only one movement that can do that, and that is the movement that we started creating here in Massachusetts, the movement for truth, freedom, and health. Look, I've been a student of politics since I was a 4-year-old kid, studying revolutionary movements, left wing, right wing. There's a physics, there's a nuclear science to destroying the establishment. To build a bridge, you need to understand Newton's equation. You need to understand the laws of gravity. You need to understand Poisson's ratio. There is a way to build a revolution. And that's why I put this together. My goal is to train an army of truth, freedom, and health leaders. We don't need followers like social media. We need leaders, but they need training because the educational system does not teach them history, nothing. So in 3 hours, that's what I've started doing. That's the solution. We got to train people. First, with understanding what a system is, the dynamics of all systems that affect nature. The second is understanding the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health. Freedom is the ability to move freely, communicate freely, talk freely. Without freedom, you cannot convert ideas, hypothesis into truth, which is science. And without freedom, you can't really get to truth. And without truth, you make up fake problems and fake solutions, which means you destroy our health. And without health, which is the infrastructure of us and our body, you can't fight for freedom. Truth, freedom, health. Third concept is it has to be bottoms up. Working people, people who work uniting. And what the right wing has done is whenever you say working people unite, that must be communist. Meanwhile, they've let the Democrats run unions, which suppress workers, completely corrupt. But when you look at the arc of American history, it's been when working people came up. We need to go local. Every solution I'm coming up with as a part of this movement, we're giving the science, which is the truth, and then we tell people what they can do on the ground. Like with election fraud, you don't need to wait for some lawyer. Our goal is to train people to go local, to go local, to go local, fight locally. Forget lawyers, forget politicians, forget celebrities. You've got to learn politics, and there is a science to it. They lock us down, we should be ready to shut them down. And the fourth part of this principle is the not so obvious establishment. So when you look at a system, there's always something that disturbs you from getting to your goal. Well, the biggest disturbance is the not so obvious establishment, which are those people who claim they're for you, on the left and the right. The Al Sharptons who tell black people I'm for you. The Tucker Carlsons. Do you think any true anti-establishment person will ever be on Fox or CNN? I don't think so. They both mislead working people back into the establishment. Without this solid understanding of political physics and theory, you're screwed. You're going to follow on the left wing Bernie Sanders. Oh, he said something. Or Robert Kennedy. Scumbags. Or you're going to follow some right-wing talk show host. They're not going to lead us to liberation. It's us. We're building a bottoms-up movement, and that political physics, it's a nuclear science of change. Bottoms up. We have to organize to understand that there is people who talk a good game and then look at what they actually do, left and right. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity may say some good things, but I don't see the urgency in his voice to get something done, and it can only come when you weaponize yourself with the right knowledge. You need to be able to identify a rat. You know, Christ didn't go after the Romans, right? It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees who screwed him up. His own quote-unquote people. And that's where we're at. So these four concepts I've built into a curriculum. People can go to truthfreedomhealth.com, and it's an educational program. We need to train people in political theory. You need to have physics, and I've created that curriculum. People need to get educated. We need to get educated fast. And And within a half an hour, I can teach people 2 years of MIT control systems. I teach people those concepts. Then I apply it. Anyone can understand it. And then you say, oh, I got to build a bottoms-up movement. They have to get politically astute, and then they have to go locally and act, not sit there on social media. They have to act locally, defy locally, do civil obedience locally, but with knowledge on how to build a movement. Now, the Senate campaign's expanded to the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health, and they can find it on truthfreedomhealth.com, so people can sign in, they can get access to a bunch of videos. If they want to take a course and become a Truth, Freedom, Health leader, I offer a full scholarship there, but we want people to make a commitment that they'll study, that they'll get certified, that they'll go do activities on the ground. So go to truthfreedomhealth.com. Ed says, I want to do whatever I can to support you. You have such a wealth of knowledge. Well, Ed, a lot of what I enjoy doing is taking the systems approach. I enjoy sharing this knowledge, but I do work very hard, Ed. And one of the ways you can support us, and to everyone listening, is go to truthfreedomhealth.com, become a leader, become a warrior scholar. It took me 50 years to create the knowledge, contribute, become a part. And by the way, once you go through our program, it's a community. It's a worldwide community now. You get friends all over the world. You learn. It's a research institution. But more importantly, it's a path for you to get educated. And then finally, what I want to let people know is that with Truth, Freedom, Health, you actually have the opportunity to go through this very powerful process where you can become your own self-organizing system. You learn, you get educated, you stop your own slavery, but you understand the physics of how change occurs in every system in the universe. And that's what my life journey has been about. So get involved. And one of the ways you can support us is to go to Truth from Health. And when you go through the program and you as an adult go through it and you pass, I've always wanted to make this philanthropical, where you become philanthropists. You can then give away the program to as many people as you want, provided they're 13 through 18-year-old children, because we want to affect the next generation coming up. So get involved in that, Ed. That's one way. And also, people know I'm running for president, right? Go get the bumper sticker, go to Shiva for president. On a different note, right? Go get the Shatter the Swarm. And one place to start to really understand the understanding is go and get the System and Revolution book on vashiva.com. But thanks, Ed. Thanks for your kind comments. Okay? All right. So let's go back to, by the way, some idiot on here doesn't understand. I think he's an Indian fellow or acts like he's an Indian, doesn't understand the difference between Brahmin and Brahmanism. A Brahmin originally, to everyone, was learned people, and it wasn't by birth lottery, right? It was from where you came from and your hard work. Over time, that entire system became an oppressive system where they took tidbits from Hinduism and they made it a caste system, Brahmanism, like Zionism. So the Indian idiot here who doesn't understand it, sorry, because you're behaving like an idiot, so I have to call you an idiot, go do a little bit of studying, all right? Because Brahmanism is very different than Brahmin, which is someone who's a learned person. In India now, Brahmanism is you're born into a family and you're called a Brahmin. That's not how it was. And by the way, any Indian who supports Brahmanism actually is a supporter of British colonialism, because it was in 1600s and 1700s, after the caste system was declining. You see, between the 8th century, the 15th century, the caste system was declining in India. It was being gotten rid of. Indians were throwing off the yoke of the Brahmanism. And it was the British who brought back the caste system in India. So there's among the 1+ billion Indians in India, 99% of them, 90% of them, are foolish people who don't study their own history. So if you're an Indian, get your head out of your ass. And you may say, oh, our culture is great. Our culture is great. And you're like all these traditional cultures. And I'm glad everyone respects their cultures. But your culture ain't fucking great if you believe in oppression and you believe in a caste system. So it was the British in the 16th century, after the Indian caste system was dwindling away. It wasn't based on birth lottery. The British reimposed Brahmanism back in India. they rebrought, oh, if you're born into this family, you get to be a Brahmin, when that's not what it was about, right? It was earned, whether you were a warrior, whether you were a business person or an inventor, it was earned by your works and your deeds. And over time, it became this caste system. So please go educate Indians, because most Indians out there are actually very racist. They actually believe in the caste system. It's unfortunate because they don't study their own history. All right? Exactly. Now this guy's getting it. Brahmanism, no, it's not a British concept. It existed as a guild model. Then the people over time made it Brahmanism. Indians did. Then Indians fought against it. It went away. And then it came back up when the British brought it back. Okay? So if you want to understand this, go read a book called The Rise and Fall of the East India Company, written by Ramakrishna Mukherjee, and you will understand this. But let me tell you, most Indians do not understand this. So when I attack Brahmanism, just like we have a lot of people who are Jewish who are against Zionism, there are a lot of people who are Brahmins, and they frankly shouldn't even call themselves Brahmins because that's a caste name, unless they're truly a Brahmin, which is a learned one, okay? So drop your fucking caste names. And a lot of Indians have these caste names. Patel, that's a caste name, actually, okay? Iyer, that's a caste name. And it's a very, very dysfunctional concept, okay? Well, you just got educated, JR, all right? So learn what it is. I've been using the word Brahmanism, all right? So it's important that the 1.8 billion Indians get their head out of their ass, or whatever number there are, because colonialism, British colonialism, really fucked up Indians, guys. Really did. All right. Now, in closing, many of you ask, well, how much ginger should I take? You know, what is the right amount? Anyway, it's been a great discussion. We've mixed Truth, Freedom, and Health. We mixed CytoSolve. But, you know, you get solutions here, okay? And that's what this is about. So if you want solutions, support our movement, go to Truth, Freedom, Health, support the presidential campaign. And I'm going to put out lots of products, guys, that are solutions. Buy our products, not their products. Our products come from real science. I haven't been pushing our solutions, but you know what? I'm going to start pushing our solutions because their solutions suck. They create problems. So be on the lookout for that, all right? We're going to be the solutions president, and we're going to offer you lots of solutions now so you don't have to wait for them and their crappy products, because most of their products suck. All right. So let's look at what the current says on ginger. So the current says, and again, this is from the science that we've used CytoSolve to process and analyze, about 250 milligrams to 4.8 grams a day. That's for maintenance, right? If you like spices, you know, I just include ginger pretty much in everything I have. I have ginger tea in the morning. I get fresh ginger. You know, traditional Indian folklore says you take out the skin because the skin may have plant protective poisons. Remember, plants are always trying to protect themselves, right? Which means they don't want you to eat them. So there are some fools out there who says, oh my God, plants have poisons, don't eat them. And there's some fool who's saying this, all right? Only eat meat all day. Don't eat any vegetables. This guy's a fucking idiot. Why do I call him an idiot? Because he's forgetting something very powerful that we as humans do. We have a fucking brain to process things. So it all depends on how you process stuff. If you take a kidney bean and you eat it raw, you're going to kill yourself, okay? Sprouted kidney beans have poisons. Everything's medicine. But if you cook it, if you sprout it and then you cook it, right? There's many, many different ways of processing this stuff. Fermentation, cooking, steaming, a very nice way, right? Roasting, right? All these different processes no one talks about. Again, we live in a world of all these health gurus who don't really know what the fuck they're talking about because either things are good or bad. They, again, take a reductionist approach to health. So you have to be careful of these people. They, so-called health people, are some of the most notorious people who just, again, take a reductionism. Do this, don't do this. What we teach at Truth, Freedom, Health, and with your body, your system, is your body's a unique system. You have to find the right stuff for you at the right time. That's why when it came to the vax, anti-vax argument, go look at my stuff. I always said we need to move beyond vax and anti-vax. we need to talk about the immune system. Now, fucking Wikipedia says I'm an anti-vaccine conspiracy theorist, lumping me with this other idiot, Booby Kennedy. I believe what we need to focus on, and my research shows, on the immune system. How do you support the immune system? Because this vax, anti-vax is like red and blue, Democrat versus Republican. It goes nowhere. We need to talk about how you support the immune system. All right. So let's all get with the right way of thinking. And that's what we teach you at Truth Freedom Health. If you want to think right, if you want to think dumb, I'll give you recommendations to these other people. So the second issue is if you want asthma benefits, we're looking at, again, this is from the research, Black et al. In 2010, about 170 milligrams, which is about 1 gram per day. Ginger is also good for sugar control, e.g. diabetes. Arablou says in 2014, 1,600 milligrams per day. For migraines, 250 milligrams single dose, okay? Nausea, and I've done many videos on this, 2 grams a day, okay, of ginger. I frankly like the fresh ginger. You can also do dry ginger, which has very different effects. Dry ginger heats the body much more deeply. All right, so we've covered ginger, we've covered politics, we've covered a bunch of things. Here are 3 issues. Now, remember, nothing is all good or nothing is all bad. Everything, you have to look at it from a systems approach. So I want to also warn you about a couple of things. If you take excess ginger, for certain people under certain conditions, you'll get heartburn. Too much, you'll get stomach discomfort, and it may even cause mouth and throat irritation. Again, it depends on your body type and your constitution. This is why the Your Body, Your System tool, taking the systems approach, is very important. We are at Systems Health, the institute I started, we're educating the next generation of medical professionals. We have, in fact, a lot of medical doctors, a lot of nurses who will be coming here to our workshop this coming next Saturday, actually, not this Saturday, next Saturday, because people really want to learn a systems approach. So if you guys have a chance, go to, you're welcome to the 3-day workshop. It's for professionals, non-professionals, it's for everyone. If you are a Truth, Freedom, and Health warrior, you get a 50% off, right? We want to encourage you to be Truth, Freedom, Health warrior. If you've already gone through the certification program, you get like 90% off. I want to make this accessible to all people, and to people who have a lot of money and are medical doctors. Yeah, you should pay up. All right. The Robin Hood model a little bit. All right. But it's a very powerful program, the Systems Health Workshop. I used to teach it at MIT, but we want to literally retrain a whole group of practitioners, and we have a network of systems health educators all over the world. So bottom line, when we finish up ginger here, let me just make some final closing comments here on ginger, that, as I mentioned, not everything's good or bad. Be aware these are 3 issues to consider: heartburn, mouth, throat irritation, and stomach discomfort. Is all ginger good? Well, 2 things. I prefer organic, versus conventional, because organic ginger is preferred. Conventional farming typically uses pesticides that are linked to lung, liver, kidney, thyroid, carcinogenic, and organic farming produces healthier plants. Many years ago, we used the CytoSolve approach, and we still have it, to create the certified clean, certified raw certification. You will see products out there with the certification that came out. That's another solution. Getting back to solutions, I'm the only presidential candidate who created a global certification program to certify foods and products as certified clean and certified raw. Okay. Another solution. All right. All right. Solutions. And what we did here was we really identified products that were safely produced, minimally processed, and high bioavailability of nutrients. So in summary, ginger has several health benefits to lung health. It prevents fibrosis in the lung tissue by inhibiting TGF-beta, by downregulating oxidative stress. Ginger downregulates mucin-5 production, thereby controlling excess mucus production. And then ginger promotes bronchodilation, which means relaxation, by upregulating calcium influx in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So 3 very powerful effects of ginger and why it's good for lung. All right. I hope this was valuable to everyone. And I want all of you to go to truthfreedomhealth.com when you support us, when you get educated, you're also supporting our Open Science Institute at CytoSolve, which is doing this research. All the papers we do, we fund it, okay? It's not funded by Big Pharma. It's not funded by Big Vitamin. It's funded by all of you. So we have created an Open Science Institute. Those of you who are billionaires, support us. Those of you who are millionaires, support us. Those of you who have no money, you don't have to support us. But if you want to get involved, do that. But we have created a research platform that challenges all the academic institutions in the world. That's a major solution. We do our own research end to end, okay? We're not waiting for them and hoping and praying. Go to vashiva.com and you can see there's a CytoSolve Open Institute and you can support us. It's science for the people, by the people. You can go there and you can contribute to you can contribute to lung respiratory health. And by the way, when you support our institute, you're fighting racism, you're supporting indigenous medicine. And by the way, you're supporting the elimination of animal testing. All right. And you're supporting this incestuous web of science. So go to vashiva.com, go to Truth, Freedom, Health. And again, when you contribute, I give you lots of stuff. You contribute $100, you get 15 different gifts. So this is my ask for you, which is to ask you to become a warrior scholar and contribute to your own advancement. Okay. You want to contribute less, you get 6 gifts. If you don't want to contribute anything, I still give you gifts. Go become a Truth, Freedom, Health member. So in conclusion, we've gone through the truth of lung congestion, the effects of ginger biologically. We've talked about the fact that Big Pharma promotes singular solutions and it constrains medical doctors' freedom. And then finally, the possibilities of ginger lung congestion. We've talked about the mechanisms of action and the clinical evidence. Anyway, everyone, this is Dr. Shiva. This was our 6th in the series on lung congestion. We have at least 4 more to do. We may keep doing if you guys want us to explore other herbs. And all of this research is brought to you by Truth, Freedom, and Health and the CytoSolve Open Science Institute. And we want you to become leaders. So go to Truth, Freedom, and Health, get educated, or be enslaved. All right, everyone, I hope this was valuable to you and your families. You can watch this videos again. Again, get involved, get involved, get involved. Support our campaign for president. Get involved. Thank you, everyone. Be well, be the light.